This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockey Town West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
And welcome to the Hockey Town West podcast, your source for everything Grand Rapids Griffins and Toledo Walleye hockey. I'm one of your hosts, Brandon.
And I'm Nick.
And we're exhausted, but we're also pumped at the same time. It's a whole lot of different emotions going on here.
I can't believe you have a voice right now, to be honest.
I don't know how either of us do. For those questioning what we're talking about, we were in Toledo last night to watch them go up 2-0 on the Wheeling Nailers. It was a great time, absolute blast. But we didn't get home until 3:30 in the morning, I think is when we probably got to our actual houses.
Yeah, it was about 3:30.
Yeah, so we're tired.
Exhausted for at least the morning. I slept in till noon and I was like, that's super late for me. I'm typically up like 9-10 o'clock. But yeah, and I'm like, man, I don't even know if we're gonna be able to record after we've done 4 in 4 days. This is our 5th.
Yes.
And then 2 crazy playoff as I lose my voice there. And we have 2 crazy playoff games like that we just went to. So just absolutely crazy.
Yeah. And an even crazier playoff game today that resulted in the Grand Rapids Griffins moving on to what we call the second round. The AHL calls it the third round. The next round of the playoffs. They're on. They're off and running after defeating the Rockford Ice Hogs in Rockford 4-2 today. What a day for this team and this organization. I'm so happy. Quick rundown of the scoring from this game here. Rockford actually started off the scoring in this one 14 minutes into the first, but literally 10 seconds later, Carter Mazur gets his first of the playoffs from Austin Zarnik. Beautiful play on this goal to get that going, and getting the goal right back was huge. And they were able to still take a lead out of the first period. Austin Zarnik gets his third of the playoffs, assisted by Albert Johansson and Josiah Didier. Good to see Didier getting a point back in the lineup, his second game of the playoffs, and Albert made a great heads-up play to get this puck to Zarnik, and that shot was wicked.
Yeah, Zarnik, or the Mazur one. Which one are you talking about? Because
both were wicked, but the Zarnik one was like, oh.
And he almost had another one later that had to get reviewed. So I thought that one, I wanted it to be in. I heard the crossbar. I knew it wasn't in, but I was hoping.
Yeah, he wired that one too. There was no scoring in the second period between either team. Grand Rapids did outshoot Rockford in that second period, though, 11-4. Crazy. They really started to shut him down in that period. But in the third period, Mr. Playoffs himself, Jonathan Berggren, gets his third of the playoffs, assisted by Joel Esperance and Taro Hirose. Absolutely fantastic goal there for him as well. This ended up being the game-winning goal for the Griffins. Lucas Reichel did get one more for Rockford, but Marco Kasper gets the empty netter. And Jonathan Berggren, 3 games where he scored were all game-winning goals.
And it only took 2 of those in overtime. This one got finished up in the regular time.
Yeah, thank God. I couldn't have handled another overtime game today. Sebastian Kosa stopped 21-23. Absolutely fantastic game from him today. Drew Comesso stopped 21-24 at the other end. Grand Rapids outshot Rockford 25-23. Griffins went 0-2 on the power play, which has been a trend in this playoff, and Rockford went 1-3. Overall, man, this was fun. Like we haven't made it past the series since 2017, the year they won the cup last, and just to do that, get that weight off these guys' backs. Like, this was the series where I was like, if they could beat this team and they could do it without taking all 5 games, I'm pretty confident they could go really deep.
I don't know. I'm still nervous about the next round. If it's Milwaukee, I feel pretty confident just based off the regular season. I know playoffs are a different breed and everything like that, and they've got some guys coming down from Nashville, but that series is, which we'll get into later, is not really going the way everybody thought. So
it is not.
Yeah, I'm super nervous about the potential that it could end up being Texas.
Yeah, I'm very nervous about the Texas aspect, except for the fact that we do get home ice advantage, but we really don't know what that means in the AHL anymore. So I don't really care if we get it or not, I don't think. Yeah, I mean, good news is Dallas beat Vegas tonight, so Logan Stakehoven and the rest of the guys that they have up there from the Texas Stars are at least staying there for another 4 games, which is great news for us and probably Milwaukee, honestly. Them being down 2-0 in the series is absolutely wild. I don't understand what's happening there, but like you said, later. But who were the standout guys for you in this Griffins game today? Because I've got a couple, but I'm curious what you're thinking.
I thought Josiah Didier played phenomenal. I mean, ever since we called out that he wasn't playing the first 2 games and then they insert him in and there he goes. Like, you get the big hits, you get the blocks, you get he really led out there. Probably somebody that you don't have high on that like stood out for the game, but like he really came in and he did his thing. And since he's undefeated in the playoffs this year, and so is another guy, Mr. Elmer Soderblom. So that was interesting to note as well.
Yeah, getting both of them into the lineup honestly was huge for this team. I think it gave us a lot more options, a lot more physicality. And Josiah brought leadership that the team doesn't lack per se without him in the lineup, but his extra leadership experience is definitely noticed. Like, he threw some massive, massive hits to get the boys going, especially the one on Cini in this game. Holy smokes, he crushed them.
Which is good because that guy's been a pest all season for Grand Rapids. So I was happy to see him get laid into the boards.
I was happy too, especially after him running Costa last game. It was good. I could see there was still some leftover frustrations on the Grand Rapids side after that whole situation when they were here on Friday. But yeah, Josiah is a good one to call out there. One of mine was Marco. You got to call out Marco Casper. I mean, yes, his goal was an empty netter, and it's only his second of the playoffs, but the dude defensively has just been shut down. Like, he's shutting down everyone he's going up against, and his line has been going against Rockford's top line and shutting them down left and right.
Which is kind of the plan for like, listening to Waddy in the post-game interview, it kind of seemed like each line had their job this series, and they all did it well, obviously, since we're moving on. So Marco, I mean, it's still hard to get an empty net goal. Like, you see them all the time, and like people still do miss them. But eventually they do end up going in the back of the net. And that one was from distance. Like, he had to really shoot that one into the net there. So
yeah, he really did. But he had a fantastic first round, especially being the first like AHL playoff round for him ever. And he looked perfect.
And he had 5 shots. He led the team in shots for this game. So not only like shutting them down, being responsibly defensive, which is what we want to see from Marco, like, he's also providing the offense on that side too. So
yeah, it was really nice to see that. And again, the physicality aspect that he does bring and the being a pest that he is, that was a lot of fun in the playoffs. I mean, he was a thorn in Rockford's side all series long, which allowed Jonathan Berggren to really step back from trying to be that pest as well and play his game. And I thought he had a really calm, not really emotional series against these guys that I was like, that's what our biggest concern was going into it. I think he made us eat our words there really quickly. And I mean, again, every goal for him in this series was a game-winning goal.
Yeah, I mean, Bergie stepped up. I mean, this was huge. I'm hoping that the Wings brass sees this as well. They see what we've been seeing all season. Like, this series, we knew Rockford was going to get under his skin, and he knew that as well. They knew that was going to happen, and he controlled himself. The whole team really, minus one guy, really did a really good job of controlling themselves and the emotions after the whistle. And I mean, Bergie stepped up in he stepped out in the biggest way in the whole series, which just fantastic. That's what you want to see from your big time players. Like, this team is going to go as far as Bergie's going to be able to carry them, I think.
I would agree with that. Another guy for me tonight too, Brogan Rafferty. I mean, the past couple games, I think he's played extremely well. He's a +3 tonight. You know, he was kind of the extra defenseman in the rotation tonight, so he got a lot of ice time out there, and he looked great. He looked fantastic. And again, he brought the physicality and aggression that we needed after Costa got ran in the last game. He didn't step back from that in this game, but also just being really defensively smart when he was out there. I really liked what he was bringing to the table.
I mean, he's been here before. He was with Coachella last year and went all the way to the finals, against Hershey. So, I mean, that's why we bring these guys in, Didier, Brogan Rafferty. Like, these guys are going to help bring that veteran leadership and on the back end. And Shimmick. I mean, he played fantastic this series too. So all these defense is what's going to carry us through on the defensive side. I don't know why I said it like that.
It works. I really do like what Shimmick has brought to the table for this team, though. He's someone that I don't know if it will happen, but I would love to see him back here next year.
Yeah, I'm nervous about the whole family situation, but hopefully he's being from the other side of the country that he's sticks it here.
I really hope so. On the offensive side too, I mean, Austin Czarnik, man, what a series he had. Like, even in this game, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 shots on goal. But his leadership, man, just like everything he was trying to do out there, he was Mr. Playoff to me. Like, he just was a driving force of energy for this team that they desperately needed at some times, and he was always there to bring it. And I think he's probably my first round MVP right now, but I gotta dissect this a little more and think about that for our recap episode later this week. But if I'm thinking about it now at a time, that's probably who I'm going to go with.
That's interesting. You're not going to go with Mr. Berge, but timely goals, I would say. Mr. Big, I don't want to say Mr. Big Shot since Berge did 3 game winnings, but Czarnik was there. Like, he got us the lead today. We kept the lead from there. And I mean, that's huge. He got the assist on Carter's, set him up to get the game tied right away, and then turn around and get the second one. And he almost, like I said, he almost had another one, but it hit the crossbar. So I mean, like, he had a fantastic game today. First star.
Yeah, I mean, point per game in these 4 games for the playoffs here, as well as Carter Mazer. You know, that's someone that after game 2, we were both like, dude, trash. What are you doing right now? And he's completely turned that around. And I think he had a great last 2 games. And I give him a ton of credit for figuring it out and finding his game and playing the level that we know he can play. Because when he wasn't playing like that, but still on that line with Berge and Czarnik, it brought them down a little bit. When they're all playing at the top of their level, like, they're all great and they can all do great things and produce offenses. And that's what they're expected to do on that line.
That line was buzzing tonight for whatever reason. I don't know what it was. Like, they smelt blood in the water and they went after it. They went after it. I mean, all night. Like, there was a point in the second period that they held Rockford in their zone for like almost 2 minutes, generating chances, putting the pressure on. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, this game's over. And Maria's like, what do you mean? I'm like, the way they're like one-touch passing, they're controlling the puck, they're possessing it, like everything, they're finding the open guy. Like, I was like, I know it didn't generate it, it didn't lead to a scoring chance or a goal, but like, just to see that kind of play and that confidence in the end, it was fantastic. So like, that Carter Mazer, Berge, and that they were the ones out there. So I'm glad we could add some fuel to Carter's fire, get him going the last 2 games. Maybe not. I don't know. But like, yeah, we're both eating our words a little bit after that episode. So good on him, and hopefully, he continues that throughout the next round.
I mean, that's exactly what we wanted to happen, to have to eat our words. We don't want him to underperform. I want him to exceed expectations, and I think he did a great job in these last couple of games here and was a key part of the reason we're moving on. So the other guy, though, I think who's the biggest piece of why we're moving on is Sebastian Kosa. I think big saves today. Like, the 2 Lucas Reichel goals. Lucas Reichel is basically an NHL player at this point. He spent most of the season with Chicago. Like, he's no joke. Outside of that, though, like, I know we mentioned it before, Coast made us nervous at some points of the series with what we were seeing, especially after Wednesday. That's when we were like, oh, I'm a little nervous here. But again, we've seen this kid bounce back time and time again from bad games. And was Friday a perfect bounce back? No. He had a weird goal against him and then 2 quick ones at the end. And like he said, it's playoff hockey. It's going to happen. But today, I mean, all the pressure is on them to close this out so they can get a week to relax, hopefully. And he did a fantastic job.
Yeah, I mean, the first goal, it looked like it kind of deflected off Albert Johansson's stick and went in. So, I mean, nothing you could do on that one. And the other one was just a laser from Reichel. So, I mean, it's just, it was unfortunate. But yeah, I was getting a little nervous. We talked about this a lot on the car ride down to Toledo and back, but of just like usage and workload. And I was just kind of waiting for that bounce back after Wednesday's 5-1 loss. And I didn't really feel like I got that Friday. A little bit better today, but I mean, a win's a win. You know, like you can't really
Yeah.
complain if we're winning and the offense is doing its job. The defense is only going to get better. Rockford's good. I mean, they're skilled, they're fast. Like we knew we had issues with them all year, and most of the games were going to be close. And I think I'd have to. We'll do it on Wednesday, the series recap on it. But I think even this 4-2 game still felt closer than what it was.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, Rockford, yeah, they're an incredibly talented team. They've got something pretty special built there as well, and they're on the right path. And I mean, hell, we played this team 12 times in the regular season. These two teams played against each other 12 times. And at that point in time, you think you know everything about each team, and each game, something surprised us. And I'm sure each team was surprised by something as well. But the battles that these guys had all year long, it was some of the best hockey we watched all year.
Yeah.
Good reason and bad reasons, like both sides learned a lot from playing each other, and the better team did prevail in this. I thought Grand Rapids was the better team out of the two, but yeah, Rockford's good. My question mark for Rockford, well, no, we'll get into that second half here.
I was surprised that it didn't go for more games. Like, I honestly, like, with how close they played all season, I thought that this was going to go a full 5 games. I thought we were going to be back in the van on Friday, to be honest with you. So
Really glad we're not.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not. One, because I know the prices go up for the next round, and two, I still have 2 more tickets or I'll have 1 more ticket for the next game or next series. So then we start getting charged. So glad on that aspect. Glad we get the week off to regroup, recharge, take care of any lingering injuries, and then address the other concerns of this round.
Yep, that's gonna be good stuff. So before we get too much further into this, let's send it over to DraftKings real quick. And then when we come back, we have some listener questions and just a couple more final thoughts on this game specifically. So Nick, go read the ad.
The chase for the Stanley Cup is on, and if you're looking to light the lamp, nothing beats the action at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. From the start of playoff beards all the way to hoisting of the cup, DraftKings Sportsbook has you covered with same-game parlays, live betting, odds boosts, and so much more. Unfortunately, the Wings didn't make the playoffs, so I'll be betting on the Dallas Stars at a plus 1,200 to win the cup. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code THPN. The crown is yours. Problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help it for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Will Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction, void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. cdkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
And welcome back. All right. One final thought I got to add to this too, for this game specifically, is Zach Aston Reese has got to stop making stupid decisions. Bro, that boarding call he took, first penalty of the game, which resulted in Rockford's 1 power play goal. I'm like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, come on.
It's funny that you say that, because I said there's one guy that didn't play or that wasn't able to keep his emotions in check, and this is literally the guy that I was referring to. I don't know what it is. Like, he plays very well. He plays very smart offensively, but then like the retaliations, the penalties, like it's gonna it's gonna hurt us. I mean, it did today. It's gonna continue, and it's a pattern. It's something that we've seen throughout. I don't know why he's frustrated. I don't know why he's angry, but gotta stop taking the bad penalties.
It's a pattern in Rockford. In Rockford, it was where he got the throwing the stick or throwing the equipment penalty when he threw the stick that was on the ice over to somebody or across somebody's path or whatever. Like, you just can't do stupid stuff like that. And that boarding call was stupid. But speaking of stupid calls, the officiating tonight, holy God, dude.
What?
Again, we don't want to be that podcast. We don't want to be those guys.
We are that podcast. We are those
guys. We totally are those guys. Clearly, we have a reputation for it. I've noticed. But dude,
somebody said that on the Twitter page.
I know. I'm aware. But like, dude, for real, come on. Like, again, I'm not asking them not to call stuff on us. I'm asking it to be consistent across the board. And Marco Casper's high sticking penalty at the end, I don't understand how that was a high stick. The slash that Shimmick got, I don't understand what happened there. Like, what was while all that's happening, Lesperance gets tripped blatantly. Zarnik gets tackled basically by Kaiser. And there was a whole other one that happened in their zone while they were on the penalty kill. I don't remember what Griffins player got tripped up, but these all happened consecutively at the same time that Casper got the soft high stick call. Like, the consistency in officiating in this round was absolutely horrific. It just wasn't consistent. You didn't know what to get from game to game. There was one game that was called evenly, but basically nothing was called.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like it's playoff hockey. They're gonna let stuff go. I get it. The Marco Casper high sticking was registered as Amadeus Lombardi for a high stick. So I was even more confused on that. But I didn't understand. That one I kind of looked at and I was like, you're gonna call that. But there was like multiple other ones early in the game that could have been called but didn't get called. So I'm like, okay, you let those go. That's not a problem. Like I get it. It's playoff hockey. And then you go into like the third and like this stuff starts happening, like the high stake, and then they start like, okay, you're gonna let one go, and then you're gonna let another one like blatantly go, and then another one blatantly go, and then another, and I'm just like, at one point you gotta call something. And like that was the third, like that third period was really where Rockford was like on the ropes and coming back at us. And you saw flip the shots in the second period was 11-4 Grand Rapids, and then it flipped to 12-5 Rockford in that third. And it's because of the penalties and the that power play and just what they were letting go, like the tackle, the trip, things like that. Like everything really changed once that penalty got called on us.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I was just pulling up the highlight of the Casper high stick again, and he's skating into the corner with the Rockford player that it happens on. The Rockford player goes to stick lift Casper and lifts Casper's stick into his face. And that's the call. That's what got called. Like,
What?
I don't understand.
That's so weird. I see. I'm glad you rewatched it because what I didn't see that, and I was like, I don't understand here. I could kind of see like a hit on the hands, but yeah, just odd, just super odd. And Bob was not happy about any of this. Like he was
I'm
freaking
starting to
out.
sound like me tonight.
Yeah, I was like, oh man. But yeah, it was odd. It's gonna be interesting how the next the next series is gonna be on that end. Like, are they gonna continue to let things go? I know Texas has a few games this week, so I'm gonna probably be watching them, or the Walleye. It's gonna be tough now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with stuff getting let go as long as it's fair on both sides. That's what needs to happen. It's got to be fair. You can't influence the game as much as they were influencing some of these games. Like, how many? I think it might be two of the four games. Rockford got late third period soft penalties called in their favor, where they had an opportunity to go tie the game. The refs can't be the influence that much. Again, I'm okay. Let stuff go. Let the boys play. But call the game fairly, you idiots.
Yeah, it really felt like they were trying to get that game tied. To be honest,
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, here we
Credit
go.
to the penalty kill there in the last two penalties. Granted, Rockford scored on the first power play, but the last two penalties that they had to kill off, penalty kill was fantastic during those. They completely had shut down Rockford. I'd be curious to see if Rockford even got a shot on goal during those two. But officiating's just got to be fair and consistent. That's all we want. You can call everything or call nothing. Just make it consistent.
Or call some. I'm just kidding.
But make it consistent.
But make it consistent. Yeah.
And if you're going to call that soft high stick, call when a guy gets tackled breaking in on what would have been a breakaway. He was past the blue line. That should be a penalty shot.
Yeah.
Just want to say that. But any final thoughts for you on this game today before we jump into some listener questions?
Much better game, I thought, for us. I mean, and I like Wadi's funny is the first 2 games he kept the same lineup, and then the last 2 games here he kept the same lineup, going 11-7, and that obviously worked. It created a mismatch, and he was able to exploit it. So, I mean, good on Wadi to see that, address it, and get it done. And now we're moving on to the second round, which is what we set as the standard here in Grand Rapids now, right? I think it was the 8 of the last 9 coaches have all made it past the first round in the first season.
Yeah, it is pretty much standard. And credit to Wadi and the coaching staff. Like, this coaching staff utilizes the 11-7 approach more than most teams I ever see do it. And they do it very well. And they do it very strategically against teams where they know they can exploit their lineups with that 11-7. So I love it. I'll be okay. They can do it all the rest of the playoffs long if it works out. Like, I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we have a great defensive core. We're throwing another one of those defensemen in there. They're only going to make things better. Yes, the offense tends to drop off a little bit when we do that, but at the same time, not these past 2 games. So let's keep it running. But my final thoughts are just congrats to the boys, congrats to the coaches. Like, it's a tough battle to get here. It's tough to win those games. That handshake at the end is the toughest thing to earn in sports, and they did it. They got 3 more rounds to do it in. Hopefully, we can do it in all 3. That'd be sick, but it's only going to get harder from here. As Watson is very clear in saying in his post-game interviews, every game's just going to get harder and harder and harder. It's up to these guys to continue to rise up to the challenge, and they did a fantastic job in this one.
I like what you did there, rise up to the challenge.
Because the Grand Rapids Rise also made a clinch the playoff spot today in their inaugural season. Congrats, ladies. That's awesome, by the way. Good day for Grand Rapids sports.
Very good.
But, yeah, again, congrats to the Griffins. Love what we're seeing here, and I'm glad we get to keep doing this the way we're doing this right now for at least another round. I'm glad we get a few days off in between, but this is fun. We've had a lot of fun doing this, and the playoff grind continues. I just know next round I won't have as many playoff games to go to since I'm not driving to every Toledo game like we were in the first round.
Just you.
Yeah, just me. But let's jump into these listener questions here. Some of these questions will kind of circle back to parts of tonight's game, and then some will be for the whole series too. So I'm going to start at the bottom of my list here. And the Klinkster asks, which is worse, AHL, NHL, or ECHL officiating?
I saw somebody reply back the OHL.
I will fully stand by that one. OHL officiating is terrible.
Yeah, that's tough to say. Like, I'm not there to watch the officiating. It was weird to be in Toledo last night and they're yelling, the refs, you suck. I'm like, man, this is like a full replay of Grand Rapids as well. So, like, I don't know. I don't know who's worse. I think they're all pretty consistently bad throughout the leagues.
I would agree that they're consistently bad across the leagues. And I will say over the past couple of years, they've all gotten worse. ECHL is a weird one because there's a lot of teams like in the regular season that they don't pay to have 2 referees. You get 2 linesmen and 1 ref. So one guy out there calling one of the fastest sports in the world is already a challenge enough. At least when they get 2, it gets a little bit more balanced. AHL, I feel like the referees are too emotional. I feel like they let a lot of like what a player says affect them. We've talked about that before with, the abusive official penalty being called so much more across the AHL this season. I feel like they are not thick-skinned and don't know how to handle a little bit of an insult maybe. But again, who knows how bad those insults are. I'm sure I would go off and say some words too that would piss some people off. I've done it on here. So, they're all bad. But it also is one of the toughest jobs in this sport because this is such a fast game and it only gets faster at every level. And it's only getting faster and faster every year. So they're all bad.
The one thing we didn't see was an abusive official penalty in any of these games tonight or this series.
I'm glad we didn't. That means the emotions were in check.
Yeah.
Nick asks, not you, Nick, other Nick.
Are you
so
sure?
Who concerns us more, Texas or Milwaukee?
For me, I say Texas. Remy Poirier is just playing out of his mind. It's also going to depend on how far Dallas goes as well, because those guys are good. Like Dallas was a different team in the first half of the season. As soon as they lost Logan, I mean, they they did enough to stay afloat. So, and they're currently up 2-0 on Milwaukee, and they won both those games in Texas. So they just have to win one more in Milwaukee to finish it out. So I mean, it's and Milwaukee was good all year. I mean, they were balanced throughout the year and just very good. So I don't know if they're kind of coming down off that high or what, but I'm more nervous about Texas.
This is one of those things where I'm glad we didn't win the division, because that just adds a little bit more pressure on your team to perform like Milwaukee has on them right now. I think Milwaukee lacks some of the firepower that Texas has when it comes to their offensive side of thing, and defensively, I think the teams are just about the same. What you get with Milwaukee is you get a goaltender like Askarov who can steal games and can play out of his mind, but also gets rattled very, very easily. Yeah, and when he makes mistakes, like we watch him play the puck all the time, and there's so many games where he makes mistakes playing that puck, and you're like, "What are you doing?" And then last night, oh my god,
he also plays out of his crease.
I've never seen I've seen goalies do stuff like that, right? And for those wondering what we're talking about, is Askarov took an interference penalty after someone skated past him and knocked his stick out of his hands. He then took it upon himself when that guy skated back around the circle again to just physically come out of his crease and push him and throw him into the boards. Like, you can't do that, especially in a playoff game. But I think our buddy Tyler Kuehl said it best. I want to see them call him up for the first game against St. Louis and watch him and Jordan Binnington go at it. Please. For the love of everything hockey, please make that happen.
Goalie fights and goalie hugs, the things we love about our goalies.
It's true. But yeah, I mean, Texas gives us home ice advantage. But again, we don't know what that means really in the AHL. But I think I'd rather play Milwaukee. I think the way the season series went.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. No, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah, there you go. I think the way the season series went, let's play Milwaukee. I like that. And again, you beat Rockford, you beat Milwaukee, you beat two of the best and hottest teams at the end of the season in the AHL. That only sets you up for more success with the other rounds. So you got to beat the best to be the best, right, Nick?
Yeah, because I think after that, I do feel like it might get easier. Like that third round will be easier for us. The finals is going to be hard, but I don't think the North Division is as tough as ours is.
Not based on what we're seeing so far.
Yeah. And the other thing of having to play Milwaukee is it's closer. So we don't have as much travel. We don't have as much wear and tear on that side as well. So that is the other part that I'm kind of leaning more towards on Milwaukee. I mean, hopefully they can figure out their goaltending. It's just odd. It's so odd.
I'm just looking at the North Division and the way things are going now. Both series are tied right now in the North Division semifinals, and the fact that Belleville and Cleveland are tied at 1, you're just like, what? Really? I mean, they don't play again until Wednesday either. Most of these series don't end until this coming Sunday. So the boys could be sitting for a little bit waiting, which is crazy to think about.
Hopefully.
Because the Milwaukee series, if Milwaukee somehow comes back in this, I think they'll win at least one game. But that series doesn't end until Sunday, May 12th. If it goes all the way.
Yeah. Yep.
So, craziness. Yeah, I'd rather play Milwaukee. Bring them on. It'd be fun, too, to knock the division champs out of the playoffs. You ended their 19-game win streak this season, and you beat them to get your second seed in the division in the last game of the season. Like, if you could do all that in 1 year, I love it.
And it just sets up for Kosa Askarov, playoff series. That's fantastic. We want to see that. And now I'm kind of even more wanting it because of how flustered Askarov got in that the other night. Can you imagine Marco Kasper? That battle there, I mean, that just brings it out to another level. So,
God, it'd be incredible. They might fight.
It could happen.
Oh, Randy throws 2 questions at us, as he usually does. Thank you, Randy. Good seeing you at the game, by the way, on Friday, Randy. First question, is Mazur totally different or a totally different playoff beast now? I would say he definitely had improvement. I think he shook off the rookie playoffs experience in pro hockey after the first couple games, and he's starting to find his game. And again, he went from being paired with certain players near the end of the season back to his original line that he was with at the start of the season at the top there when you're talking Berge and Zarnik. So there's a lot that changed for him going into the playoffs. And remember, we were harsh on him in one episode, but there was a lot of change, and it's pro hockey. It's the first time in the playoffs. So I think he's warming up to it. I could see next round being a breakout round for him. I really could. And that's what I'd like to see. But just keeps playing the way he's playing, and he'll find his way.
Yeah, I'm a little like him getting his feet wet in those first 2 games. That may have been the thing, just trying to get used to the playoff like hockey at that point. It worries me now that he's got a week off. Like maybe he needs that consistency, maybe to get that flow, to keep that routine. That might be something that helps him. Who knows? But that line got better as the series went on. So I mean, it's hopefully they just come back out buzzing. Like they looked so good tonight. So yeah, I don't know if he's a playoff beast because this is his first year in the playoffs. So for Grand Rapids, so I have no idea really how to give you the right answer there, Randy.
Yeah, and I like normally a week off would concern me, but there were so many breaks in this season, the Christmas break, the All-Star break, everything, where like this team didn't, when they came back, there wasn't like, they weren't sluggish. There was no getting back into the things. I think the practice setup that Dan and the coaching staff have keeps these guys going pretty well. He did say there'll be a couple days of rest to recoup and, focus on your body, which is important. Like he makes a big emphasis on that throughout the season. It's just that recovery step for these guys is so crucial. And a coach identifying that and understanding how important that is, one, gets the buy-in from the players, but two, it shows he knows what the hell he's talking about. Like this guy knows his stuff. So I trust it. I think he'll be ready to go.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even recall that. The All-Star break and Christmas. I mean, that's when they came back and literally played their best hockey. So So yeah.
Breaks are sometimes a bad thing, but I think this one's a good thing, especially with some of these teams that we could potentially face down the line here. That week is going to be important. His second question was, if Dallas wins their series, Texas, does this give the Griffins home ice advantage in the second round? Yes, it does. But again, we still don't know what that means in the AHL. You could play the first 2 games on the road and lose them and have to fight back at home. Which for our case, I don't think would be the worst. We are one of the best teams at home in the American Hockey League. So I guess that if we were in Milwaukee's shoes right now, we'd probably be better off still. But hey, it's better them, not us.
Because the next round's 5 games again. Correct.
Yes, that's correct.
So it could go 2 over there and 3 with us. It could go 2. Like there's so many different formats that this could end up being. So, but yes, we would have home ice, whatever that meant. Hopefully it's not the I don't know. I'd rather not do the 2 and then 3. That just makes me nervous because if like in Texas's position, they've up 2 games right now. All they got to do is win 1 out of the 3. That's pretty easy to do. I say that watch them lose the next 3 games.
So I had to make sure I confirm that. Yes, the division finals are best of 5. Then it goes conference finals, best of 7. Calder Cup final, it's the best of 7.
That's what I thought.
Where real playoffs begin.
Yeah.
Last question from Angie. Do you think Ammo has played up to expectations?
I think the 11-7 affects him way more than I feel like it does the other guys because he's always got a different line mate on that wing side. So I feel like he does better when they don't go 11-7 and he puts up more points. Like he got that game tying goal in game 1. I think it was game 1. And they were at 12 forwards and 6 defensemen.
60.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So I'm like, I feel like he drives the lines better. He has more chemistry that side, but I think he's playing like he stands out more when he's got his own line, like a regular line. And like tonight, I didn't feel like I saw him a whole lot out there, but I don't know. I don't know time of ice. They don't give us those kind of stats. But for like the regular season, I feel like he played exactly like what he was planning to do is come in, be a professional, learn the professional side, and just build into the system and get around the guys, kind of get that chemistry and the systems down. So, which is what he said on the interview with him. So I think he's playing exactly where he should be. And then next year, I think you see that crazy explosion. And I was kind of hoping like after game 1, seeing that goal, I was hoping the points were going to start coming from him. But I mean, we still can. Like, he could have a crazy next series.
Yeah, I think he's met my expectations for the entire season, including the playoffs. I like what he's doing. You make a good point on the 11-7 piece. I think that does impact him a little bit more than the other guys for sure. But I mean, overall, I think he's had the year we expected him to have, and I'm fine with that. He didn't need to blow away expectations or anything like that. He just needed to come in, learn the pro game, be consistent, and still find a consistent spot in the lineup. Sure, it's been, he's been second line at some points, but majority third and fourth line. But then you look at next year to be like, okay, you're starting third and you move up to second, and then sometimes maybe the first. Who knows? So, like, just continue to build that growth. We said Ammo is going to be probably 3 years before we even talk a potential call up in Detroit. It'll be 3 years here in Grand Rapids before that. He needs to get bigger, but he needs to still focus on being able to keep his speed and his skill levels up when he gains that size. But for how young he is, he's one of the more defensively responsible players on this team and can also steal the puck from the best players in the league. So I like everything defensively he does, and I think offensively it'll come with size.
Yeah, I think I didn't come into the season expecting him to hit 100 points like he did in Flint last year. Like, there just was no way, based off of his size, his strength. Like, I didn't foresee that happening. So, he's, like you said, he's right where he should be.
Yeah, no,
And like you got to think too. Like, Doucette came from Canadian Hockey League too, and he's down in the E, and he's putting up points. He's playing well, but he's holding his own.
Yeah, and I mean, points wise with him, like, I'm not expecting a ton of them. Like, even when you look at the whole team as a whole, 4 guys in the team have 3 or more points in that first round. So there's a little bit of scoring top heaviness there. But at the same time, 15 of the 20 skaters that have suited up for these playoffs so far have a point. He's one of them. Like, it's very spread out. The lineup's very deep. We're going to see scoring from everybody, whether it's assist or goals. You're going to see everyone contributing there. And the fact that he's on that score sheet included with those 15, that's so important for him.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his stats right too. Like, even for the regular season, I mean, he finished 12th on the team. That's
which exceeded my expectations fully there.
Out of 36 players, including the goalies.
Yeah.
And they put up a lot of points,
The goalies, yeah, Hutch does have an assist in the season, so.
As he should. Man, the way Bednar shot that puck last night, I thought he was going to score a goal.
My God.
We're going to see a goalie goal.
I would have lost it. And I just said that was the last question. Just kidding. We had one more float in. Just right now as I refresh the page to make sure I got everybody. Our friend Katie, who we had on the show before here. Can you think of a more clutch Grand Rapids Griffins player than Jonathan Berggren? 3 game-winning goals in the past, or in this best-of-5 series. Seems crazy to me. I'm sure in history of the Griffins, I can think of some clutch players like that, but he's definitely up there. Like, we've seen him do this in the regular season quite a bit too. He gets some really clutch scoring in there, but for what he's doing in the playoffs right now, he's showing up in big games, and that's important.
So this is going to be more. This question is more in your wheelhouse, Brandon, because you've followed Grand Rapids for a lot longer than I have, since you grew up here and that this was your hometown team. Just in the 2 years that I've covered this team, I would say Pontus Andreasen last year.
No,
would probably be the most.
He had 2 clutch games. 2.
And Bergie's had 2 as well. So
no, he's had 3 in just the playoffs.
Okay, 3 in the playoffs, counting today. So that's the only guy that I can really think of is that I've seen like score last second goal. Like, I just revert back to that goal and he had scored in the last 2 seconds of the game. Like, that's the only clutch moment I can really think of. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be Bergie. I mean, he's been big all year.
You have Griffins fans that have followed the Griffins for years, just looking at you going, your credibility for this team is gone.
That's okay. Like I said,
okay.
I've only covered for 2 years. That goal just points out to me all the time is him scoring that crazy game, that game winner, for us to win it. So that's the only thing I can think of. But because her question was it besides Bergie or was it anybody?
Can I think of a more clutch player? And like,
I really can't.
I mean, there was a point in time early in his days that Taro Hiroshi was an extremely clutch player for this team. but it's not so much of the clutchness anymore there. He's just silently still really good. But God, this organization has had so many good scorers. And right now, in the top of my mind, Bergie is, he's Captain Clutch. Like, this is crazy to see what he's doing in these playoffs. If he can keep that going for the next rounds, then Detroit has no choice but to sign him. They have no choice.
Oh yeah, like this is the resume builder right now here for him. So, which is what they wanted to do with him. Like they want to see him have success. They want the team to do well. They want him to have that confidence coming in of like, yep, I can do this. If you need me in the last second of the game or the last minute in overtime, like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna step up and perform for you. So, I mean, yeah, I really can't think of anybody besides Bergie.
Thank you to everyone for tuning in. Congratulations again to the Grand Rapids Griffins moving on to the next round here. Thank you to our sponsors, Everything Hockey. Make sure you head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST. Save $3 off your order. Pick yourself up a sweet hoodie or t-shirt that they've got. Super comfy stuff. And there is a nice Detroit design on there too. I should throw that up in one of the episodes just so people can see that. Shout out to our other sponsor, DraftKings. Make sure you're using code THPN when you're betting with them. And shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network for being great partners with us as always. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in to all the crazy episodes we've been releasing over the last few days. The love and support on all of them has made us feel so good, and that's why we're still doing this, as we're all losing our voices in the middle of the episode still. So thank you, everyone. Have a great week. We will most likely talk to you again on Wednesday. Go Griffins. Go Walleye. Have a great week, everyone.
Go to bed. Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey.